Normally, we would start with podcasts every day in either April or August. However, we had to push back. So we're calling it PEDS, or Podcast Every Day in September, where you'll hear various topics that will likely have nothing to do with sports, but you'll definitely get a good feel of what's going on in the world thanks to PEDS. Episode 205 of The Pass is here. What's good, y'all? This is your host, BT, doing another episode. As you can see in the title and the excitement, and as I sound a little groggy this morning, I missed my 9 o'clock cut, so it's not me playing catch up. It's more so me just going ahead and giving you content because I just try to be a man of my word. But anywho, Spotify is now my unofficial / official streaming source for music, and I gotta be honest, I like it. I'll give my, if any of you have kept up with the previous podcast every day in August or April shows, you'll kind of know what somewhat got us here, but we'll just kind of brief deep dive. So a couple years ago, I did use Apple. I was in Apple Music, or introduced to Apple Music with a trial, and the trial was cool. I enjoyed Apple Music. As far as the radio stations, they were pretty creative. Hit the 6-month point, hit the 1 year mark. I believe I had it for about 1.5 years, and I realized that it was time for, it may have been 1.5 years. I think I was coming up on 2 years at the end of this year. And, I stuck with it. But one of my, as I call her, my podcast connects, introduced me back to what I would consider as music listening, because Apple Music has a selection as far as what songs you do or don't have the option to listen to, but it was lacking on the selection as far as organizing it. Because going through and trying to find any new releases or find out who has any new music, or really getting recommendations to listen to songs that you like or prefer, wasn't really there for me personally. So enter Spotify. So about a month, probably a couple months now, well, month and a half ago, I was, so my friend Ash, who I've been on her show, I actually was just recently on episode 24. I believe I shared that in the show notes a couple episodes back, but she invited me on. Well, her and Jazz were doing a contest to answer couple questions. And I'm not sure, more than likely other people may have participated, but I know I was like, I'm listening, let me check it out, because I'm always for prizes and gifts. So participated, won, and the prize for winning, they sent me in the mail, but I didn't know what I was receiving. Well, basically I received a 3-month Spotify premium to just kind of get my feet wet, see if I like Spotify. Well, Spotify has, if I go back, I know I've taken a lot of screenshots using Apple Music. I'm not going to deny it. But the screenshots taken using Apple Music, I took a lot of screenshots. But Spotify, in the amount of time I've had it, I know I've done at least 200, if not more, in this trial period. The minor adjustment is there aren't any, like Apple Music has feature playlists. So of course, like most recently, and I didn't even know about this until I was a part of it or was getting ready to kind of transition, that Nicki Minaj had her own playlist, which I was like, okay, or her own radio station. Beats, Beats One, when you have Apple Music, you get Beats One by default. And then you get other listens and other options. With Spotify, if you start to play a couple of songs, a playlist starts to generate from what you're listening to. And that I'm actually okay with. I've had Apple Music for a period of time, never created a playlist. Got on Spotify in the first couple of weeks. I've participated in 2 playlists and made my own third. If you have not or would like the opportunity, it'll be beneficial to go to next year. If you need a cookout or barbecue playlist, there are 2 of them that are available that have about, give or take, close to 200 songs for your listening pleasure. And right now we are working on one called Good Vibes, which is just good music to listen to kind of get you through whatever. So that's that side of it. But as far as the listening, pretty much almost Fridays, if I'm already awake at midnight, I'll see the new releases that are coming or that have hit. Or most times in the morning, I can go to new release, and they're patiently waiting. So I kind of can see if an artist dropped a new single, or they dropped a new EP, or they dropped a new album, and just kind of go from there. I'm not going to talk about it yet because I will save that for tomorrow's show regarding Eminem's new album, because I know a lot of people are going to want to see my hot take on it. And I think today because usually, and this is something with Spotify, I didn't do with Apple Music. Apple Music, I would listen to an album, just go straight through, listen to it, call it a day. The option was available to shuffle playlists or shuffle music, but I didn't really do it. When you go to most playlists or most albums on Spotify, with the basic plan, by default, you're given the option to shuffle. I didn't know how important it was to sometimes just shuffle an album or shuffle a playlist, to just kind of let it play out and then figure out what you like, what you don't like, what interests you, disinterests you, etc. And now I've kind of grown accustomed to that as far as how I listen to a lot of albums. I think I talked about it a couple of shows back. Nicki Minaj's album Queen. That was one of the first times that I really was put in a position to listen to an album, listen to some feedback and input about the album, then listen to it again and have a totally different high take view, opinion, perspective about the album, which was fine. It was just new. I think the feature that Spotify just kind of got big on is the implementation of podcasting being within its platform. So with Apple, and this is, like I said, everything I'm saying is not like things that Apple didn't get right. It's just Apple did it. Apple does things Apple's way. They've always done that. Me being an Apple owner, I even had a friend of mine who had this conversation where he looked at it as he didn't want everything Apple, as far as he has his computer and that's his main gist, but he uses an Android phone. Like, it's kind of balancing out your tech, and sometimes you have to do that, and that is key. But you have Apple Music, then you have the podcast app separate, which can work, but a lot of the podcasts that I subscribe to, I'll go into the podcast app and I'm like, I hope I'm gonna listen to it, because some shows will go by me so quick because I have so many that I've followed or subscribed to. The last feature that I'll bring up that stands out right offhand that I've kind of grown to love, and it just makes life much easier, is that whether I'm on my phone, whether I'm on my computer, if I'm on my tablet, hell, if I'm even on my iPod and I'm on Wi-Fi, I'm able to connect Spotify to multiple sources for streaming. Now, this is where that Apple and Android thing kind of comes into play again. I personally don't own Apple TV. I don't see the need of having Apple TV. That also ties into the point of the newest speaker that Apple brought out, the iHome or whatever. Well, not the iHome, but the Apple Home, or the big speaker that they brought out a couple months ago. Good speaker, just not a speaker that I would really even need. And for me, as most of my friends personally know, I'm kind of speakered out. I have an Echo, I have a JBL Extreme, I have a JBL Charge, I have a JBL Clip. Those 4 speakers alone have me well covered in listening. So I'm giving that story because my Echo is naturally on most of the time. Within my direct availability, there's my Echo, there's my Fire Stick, and there's also a Chromecast, which gives me the ability to, if I want to play music, I can just open up Spotify. They'll have the option for different locations of playing, and my Echo will come up. So I can just literally push music right to my Echo, or I can push it to my TV, and it's seamless. That feature alone has sold me. What sold me even more, and why I really am glad that the Spotify connection is a lock, is with the Echo. It uses homegirl. I'm not gonna say her name because I don't have it muted, but her name starts with an A. Of course, I'll leave it at that. But I'm able to add in sounds or add in songs. Like if I want to just talk to my Echo, I can tell it to just play any song at any point. So if I'm home chilling and I just need to listen to some music, it'll play certain albums or certain singles at my request. What I've recently found out is regarding the routine feature with the Echo that works seamlessly with Spotify, where you allow it, if you say a message, it will give you information. Like for me, it gives me the weather, and then it'll give me my morning song, which my morning song is Gap Band Outstanding. Choose what you will, judge how you please. But that works for me to get through the morning. But anyway, these features, along with just how comfortable I've gotten with listening to Spotify, is, and let me say this because I won't say I got hate, but I got a lot of kickback regarding it. I loved Apple. Any of my friends, I'm on all my Apple products. It ain't like I'm slowly about to switch back to Android. None of that's happening. But I've been using my, I've listened to my music. I've given what I can a chance. But now I'm ready to really listen to music. And I even listen to BTS. And I was slow on listening to them when I had Apple Music. So that, for me, told a lot as far as like my listening vibe and my listening style. So going back, I don't have any form of regret or a lack of a life-changing decision, whatever you want to put it as. I just know it was time for me to kind of go with what worked for the cause. So if you're following me, even on my podcast page, and you see little images come up, if you are on Spotify, you can just screenshot that image and listen to what I'm listening to. Or you can, if you have Apple Music, or if you're even on Amazon Music, whatever, you can just look for those songs. And that's how you, as I'm beginning to see it, expand your musical horizon. So that's a lot longer than I expected to talk about it, but that's kind of my journey with Spotify. Like I said, I was not in the slightest bit sure of how it would or would not go with listening to Spotify. But since the transition and since the adjustment, I don't really regret it at all. Once the 3 months end, there's a strong chance that I'm looking to stick with Spotify. Because it was no point in keeping both Apple Music and Spotify. Because I initially had plans to rise Apple Music out until my Spotify premium ended and then make a decision. And I was like, nah. First couple of days listening to Spotify, I'm going to let Apple Music go. And we split on, I think it was July 23rd. And I haven't looked back. So find your music to your liking. Find your stream source to your liking. From my home or my household or my way of listening, Spotify works. I would not be surprised in the event of owning, if I were to own the Apple home speaker, more than likely it would probably be able to be a seamless connection where you don't need it to be Bluetooth based or anything like that. But again, you got to find your niche and find your place as to what or how music can be played or heard to your liking. So that's all I got. I'm glad that the shows are up and running. I did say, and I mentioned this kind of in the beginning, was looking to start off. I had it up by 9 o'clock, but things happen. So I just got lucky on the first one. But I will have this at a scheduled time to be heard and get that all set up. But until next time, y'all take it easy. That's it for our show. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to go back and listen to any previous episode, you can go to Spreaker.com/BrideTape or you can go to pastpodcast.com where you can listen to all of the latest shows as well as shows from when this podcast first began. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, the Past signing out.